Being right, live FA Cup action is available next week on the Air Sport Pack. On Saturday, we have Man United against Reading at 12:30 on BT Sport 2, followed by Blackpool versus Arsenal with the kick-off at 5:30. On Sunday, Rotherham have picked a good time to come up against Man City. That's kicking off at 2 on Air Sport 1. And on Monday evening, free-scoring Liverpool travel to Wolves on Air Sport 1, kick-off at 7:45. Now, let's hear the matchup the fans are most excited about tonight.
Joey Carberry or Colin Murray should be a good combination. We've been looking forward to it for a while.
I'm hopeful for Joey. I want to see Leinster support. I support him as best I can in a red jersey.
I'm hoping he'll do quite well against his old team. You know, he'd a kind of an off day against Cats, but I'm hoping he'll learn from that.
I coached him in a Thai rugby club years ago when he was a young lad. So that's why I'm down here today, really, to see how Joey goes.
Johnny always gets on very well. I think Johnny gets out of the blocks, particularly if he comes against Munster. And so I'd say it's going to be, that's why I'm here early. I hope I'm not going to miss anything, so I hope it'll be just a good battle.
Johnny Sexton, I think he's going to take it easy today. I think realistically he'll only put in 3 or 4 tries against Munster today. I'd say I think he'll take it handy enough. Yeah.
He's quite hopeful, I think, isn't he?
Gas man, that fella.
Oh, he had me there in fairness. Okay, listen, final thoughts. Kick-off, you can see atmosphere is building.
Yeah.
It has to be mentioned, Frank Murphy, former Munster player, is referee in the game today, Donncha.
Yeah, difficult one for, you know, but when you come to these interpros, I think you're better off with an Irish referee. They understand it a little bit better than maybe the Welsh and the Scottish, who just don't get it. Frank Murphy's a quality referee. We've had the likes of Alan Rowland, who would have played for Leinster before ref these games. I think from both points of view, I think we've got the best ref for it. I think he's fit and he'll allow a flowing game. From a Munster point of view, there's been some tight calls ref-wise. We just want consistency tonight.
Okay, you can see both sides are ready for battle. Let's hand you up to our matchday commentators, Stephen Ferris, Liam Toland and Conor Morris.
2018 was Ireland's Everest in rugby terms, and there's something of a peculiar paradox that the curtain closes on that most unforgettable of years, watching the very men who soldiered so heroically, shoulder to shoulder in the trenches, come here tonight and for 80 minutes cast aside those collective achievements in the green of Ireland, and instead, in the red of Munster and the blue of Leinster, knock lumps out of one another in a provincial skirmish that continues to count for so very much. Almost 140 years after the very first encounter way back in 1879. This evening's fixture is a sellout at Thomond Park in Limerick, and it has all the ingredients of a Christmas cracker. We are all set to go. Well, does form really go out the window on Derby Day? Johan van Graan may hope more so than Leo Cullen that there's a little bit of truth in that most cliched of notions. Munster come here having registered back-to-back defeats for the first time in 12 months, failing to score a try on their last 2 outings, away to the French champions Cast in Europe and last week against Ulster in Belfast. But remember, Leinster usually bring out the very best in Munster, and with the possible exception of the game against Exeter at Sandy Park in Europe, their performance against the double champions at the Aviva back in round 6 in October was arguably their best display of the season, and probably deserved more than a 30 points to 22 defeat. Leinster come here, of course, having won 7 on the bounce since going down to Toulouse in late October. It is a huge occasion, and it's a huge milestone tonight for this man, the Leinster prop forward Cian Healy, who makes his 200th appearance in the blue of Leinster. Following in the footsteps, the likes of Darcy, Heaslip, Toner, Leo Cullen himself, Shane Jennings, Shane Horgan and Rob Carney. What a servant he has been to Leinster and Irish rugby down the years. The man with 84 Ireland caps. Leo Cullen makes 11 changes from that remarkable comeback win over Connacht at the RDS. Scott Vardy and Rhys Ruddock, the only 2 players retained in the pack of forwards. James Ryan returns behind that hugely experienced front row that has well over 100 caps. Josh van der Fleer replaces Dan Levy. Johnny Sexton's inclusion for his first Thomond Park appearance for some 6.5 years signals a huge intent for Leinster today. Rory O'Loughlin is at 12, Gary Ringrose at 13, and we know all about James Lowe and how he likes to torment this Munster team. And just listen to the noise. 26,000 plus. The pyrotechnics are in full flow. And that man will have a huge role tonight. Johan van Graan makes a dozen changes from the side that snatched a late losing bonus point against Ulster in round 10 in Belfast. The vastly experienced front row of Kilcoyne, Scannell and Ryan all return. There's no Peter O'Mahony. Instead, it's Finan Wycherley at number 6. Dan Goggin plays his first Pro 14 match since the Leicester game in Dublin in October. He's back from injury. And Conor Murray and Joey Carberry against Luke McGrath and Johnny Sexton will be absolutely huge. As we've mentioned, it's the relatively inexperienced Frank Murphy, a former Munster scrum half, who takes charge today. And as they run out, there's a late change. I'm looking down, I can see Noel Reid is going to start for Leinster. Well, he was named initially at 23, but he's going to start in the Leinster midfield. But it will be Johnny Sexton to get us underway. It is still, of course, technically the season of goodwill, but that's pretty much on hold, we reckon, until around about 7 o'clock tonight. So if you've had a gut full of Christmas TV and its predictable plots and saccharine storylines, we hope you've come to the right place, because at Thomond Park, in front of 26,000 plus, Munster against Leinster in the Guinness Pro 14 is underway. Ball straight into touch, and a chance for me to bring in very quickly alongside me Liam Toland and Stephen Ferris. Liam, it's all set up for a huge cataclysmic game.
Well, this fixture, regardless of competition, has always been a springboard for so many cracking games, but also individuals. You think of Larmour here only 12 months ago and what he has managed to achieve in that short period of time.
Sexton gets Leinster moving inside the opening 30 seconds, and it's the visitors who come on the attack with their scrum half Luke McGrath, and through it goes to Sexton, and then O'Loughlin. He's got Larmour outside and James Lowe keeping his width, and now he's at the base of that ruck just behind Luke McGrath. In it goes to Scott Fardy. We expect that the opening exchanges will be full-blooded and played at a frantic pace. Ball is going forward, advantage, knock-on advantage to Leinster, and they bring play almost up to that Munster 22, and the first touch of the evening for Tadhg Furlong. Luke McGrath waits, and Sexton is poised. Tackle goes in from Tadhg Byrne. Leinster moving the ball freely and quickly, as is their want and their will, and James Tracy gets his hands on it. And now they come back against the grain. Rhys Ruddock, Josh van der Fleer and Jack Conan, the Leinster back row. There's a little bit of space for Ringrose in midfield, and just for a second it looked as though he might offload it to Larmour, who was coming through on a very tight line at a rate of knots. Great start this for Leinster. Is there to be a finish? It's Lowe, and he's going on the outside. 2 tries, remember, in October when Leinster beat Munster by 30 points to 22. We've only played 2 minutes, and Leinster have owned the ball and largely inside that Munster 22. And still they come forward. Dave Carney, by the way, is the player who's not out there. I've had a quick look around. Noel Reid is in. And Munster's defence is, for the moment, standing strong. There's a little bit of a fracas, but there's space on the outside here now. Surely, had that ball gone wide, there was a clear overlap for Larmour. And the referee has signalled on knock-on. Okay, Stephen Ferris, what have you made of the opening? 2 minutes and 20 seconds.
Well, young Wycherley straight on to Sexton, bit of a late hit. Sexton gives him some verbals. The next thing, Sexton's being picked back up off the ground by the young fella. A lot of niggle. We're going to expect this in this derby, but some great play by Leinster, holding on to the ball. Jack Conan involved a couple of times early on. But what a start we have, Conor.
So what we have is 10 and 6 on the ground.
Yes.
Okay.
Tackle by Red. Blue 10 reacts, throws a punch. We check the point of connection.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so we were following the play. There was a little bit of set to it, a fracas.
Just speaking to the team.
Away from the play. Let's hear what Frank Murphy's got to say to you.
Yes, Frank.
Did you hear that conversation?
Simon McDowell.
I can only hear you at the moment.
Okay, so just from my touch, Judge, we just need to happen. We need to check what happens off the ball between 10 blue and red 6.
Okay, we'll put it on the screen now.
Well, let's see what action, if any, the referee will be forced to take following this. There's the tackle going in from Vernon Sexton. There goes the scrum cap. It's Finney Wycherley, in fact.
Well, you can tell by the crowd reaction how the slightly unbiased Munster supporters think of that particular reaction from Johnny Sexton.
All right, okay.
Frank, that first angle's the best.
Yeah, don't show us anymore. I've seen what happened. Simon, from what I can see, there's a borderline late tackle. I'm not too interested in that. Then 10 reacts by ripping the scrum half off and throwing it at the player.
Correct.
Okay, so it's a penalty against 10. I'm going to ask him to calm down. That's it.
Okay, so
it's just a reaction. He just takes the scrum cam off. It's going to be a penalty against him. Okay, to you. Yeah. Okay.
Just a warning.
It's on you, Johnny. Okay. The tackle is borderline, but your reaction isn't fair. Okay. Fair enough.
Already, well, inside the opening 2.5 minutes, that's a big flashpoint in the game. It's a big decision for the referee and the TMO combined, Frank Murphy and Simon McDowell, and it's only a slap on the wrists for Johnny Sexton.
Yeah, I think it's 6 and 2 threes. If you want a neutral opinion, I think it's probably the correct call in such a niggly game. I think just giving a penalty and getting on with things is the correct decision.
And it's done absolutely nothing to dampen the atmosphere,
Not at all, but tactically what Leinster have been doing is they haven't shifted the ball wide at all. They've been erring on one-out passes. Even Johnny Sexton did a beautiful wrap around with Jack Conan, who didn't pass the ball. Conan took contact, so they're looking for early contact, Leinster are.
Okay. Okay.
There's a penalty here. The player was taken out in the air. Frank Murphy has received the information from his assistant referee on that far side. Clear decision on penalty, Munster. As I said, Johnny Sexton hasn't been to Thomond Park in Limerick, or at least he hasn't played here for some 6.5 years, and the World Player of the Year, who was so popular all through the year, not very popular at the moment, and the atmosphere is building now. Joey Carberry's going for touch, and he just sliced that off the outside of his right boot, and he didn't find touch. And as we said all week in the build-up and all day today, fine margins will decide this game, you feel, at the end of 80 minutes or so. And that's a big opportunity missed from Joey Carberry. Rory O'Loughlin, who, by the way, if you're just settling down, is wearing number 14. There's no Dave Carney in the Leinster team. Late withdrawal due to a leg injury. Sexton sends one skyward. The two players underneath it are Rory O'Loughlin and Keith Earls.
From our vantage point here, we can see the flags flying on the main road entrance, and the wind is blowing right into the east stand, so you'd forgive Joey Carberry's kick. He would have expected in some sort of shape to just hug the touchline and the wind would blow it, and you can see it there on the screen actually. It's blowing right to left as Joey Carberry was kicking it, so maybe there's a little bit of learning curve for him in that sense.
You just set your line for me then, thanks. Number 4. 4, no problem with the contest, but you can't grab his hand.
Well, he's not
from the TMO
in the side today. He was talking to Stephen Ferris before kick-off, and he expressed his chagrin at not being involved in a massive occasion, but I'm sure he's still a voice in the dressing room. Peter O'Mahony, what a player to omit from your side for a game like this. Now here comes Carberry, trying to pop one back inside to Keith Earls, who knocked that forward. He'll claim maybe that there was an arm around him, prevented him from gathering it cleanly.
That's disappointing from Carberry. Almost goes to give it, just holds on to it for a split second too long, and Keith Earls just slightly overruns. But for me, Carberry needed to give that pass slightly earlier.
But interestingly, both sides, Stephen, are looking to get early contact. They're looking as if to throw down the gauntlet and dominate physically before they do anything more creative. The old adage, I know, but still, on every occasion, Leinster and now Munster are doing the same tactic.
Well, here's an opportunity now.
So much experience in the respective front rows tonight.
Crouch!
Cian Healy up against John Ryan. And
set! Stay!
McGrath waits. The referee will
okay, we're
ask
good
him
this
to reset.
Side, lads. We're on the other side. Not stable, and we're in too much. Keep the space here side, please, lads.
As we were saying before the game, we're only 5 weeks out from the Six Nations, and this game tonight, given the strength of the two sides that have been selected, something of a little throwback to the old final trial that historically used to be arranged ahead of the Five Nations as it was back in the day, and certainly it started at that kind of tempo and tilt.
Crouch! Bind! Set! Stay! Stay, one elbow up.
So when it goes from McGrath.
Don't go around one!
Conan waits, and Leinster get the penalty. Referees have been told to be big on this week. Dave Kilcoyne coming around.
Fantastic play there. Tag Furlong, the new Ross man getting stuck in and showing who's boss in that first scrum. Great work.
You'd forgive the Munster loosehead prop because his wing forward wasn't quite scrummaging. He was concerned about a possible back row move.
So we've had 2 penalties, one from the master and one from the apprentice. Carberry and Sexton failing to find touch. Now the aerial route is the decision from Johnny Sexton. And safe pair of hands from Mike Healy. He was up very early and very confident under that high ball. No doubt at some stage Jordan Larmour will be the recipient of a few bombs on the other end of things from the Munster boot of Joey Carberry and others. It's there instead for Conor Murray.
Not out.
Protected by John Klein. And will that bounce into touch? Up comes Keith Earls with a really big tackle on Rory O'Loughlin, and the bodies are flying in. Touch judge over on the far side has said ball was in touch in any case.
There we go.
Huge hit again. They're flying in from all angles.
Yeah, I'm not going to let them go quick. Hold the hooker. Lads, you're not going in quick when you're coming in late. Please form the lineup.
James Tracy with so many targets to hit in that Leinster line-out. Was that straight? CJ Stander was up like a rate of knots, and that's gone forward off the hand of Rory O'Loughlin, and everything was just a little bit disjointed, and it's as a result of the pace of the game and the size of the hits and a little bit of nerves as well.
I think both defences are flying. That looked not quite straight, maybe that's the best way of phrasing it.
There you go, lads.
But both sides are flying up off their line, and they're really, really aggressive in what they're trying to do. But what's really good news is both sides in possession are still trying to execute quality plays, and under that pressure there are going to be errors and mistakes.
There's going to be errors, but I think tonight is a night. I was walking along the pitch earlier on. It is pretty wet underfoot. The ball is going to be slippy, so whoever makes the least errors tonight, I'm sure will be thereabouts come the end of this fixture.
No, that's fine. Crouch! Bind! Stay. Set! Steady now!
So Conor Murray feeds that Munster scrummage. And then eventually it comes back to the feet of the captain for the night in Munster red, CJ Stander. Carberry. All the way wide, looking for Conway. Ambitious pass, and the accuracy not quite there, and so the trend continues. We've played 9 minutes. We'll await the first score. Both sides just trying to find their rhythm.
Red.
And it's the first time they've actually gone wide. So it's disappointing execution. You could see what he was doing, but it was a simple execution issue. Pity.
Oh, there. No, it's from here, I think. From my judgment. We go here, you ask for it.
The only people that seem to be breathing in this game tonight are the front row. There's been a few scrums, a few boys, heavy panting going on, but not much rugby from the back's been played so far.
Much better in the calls, lads. Kept that space for me, better outcome.
As you said at the outset, Munster unbeaten in 2018 at Thomond Park, 15 without defeat at home since Leinster were here on St Stephen's Day of last year.
Crouch!
An afternoon when they scored 27 points in the first 27 minutes. The game was beyond Munster before they really got going in the second half.
Okay. But I've asked you not to lean through. I don't want you coming up, I just want you keeping the space. I'll deal with that. Let's go, please. 8. Don't pull lock like that. Okay, in this
first start in this competition for Tadhg Furlong since he played against Benetton in October.
You can see in the monitor there, they're set up. Johnny Sexton is in the neutral position directly behind the scrum. A massive gap between him and the midfield. and James Lowe loitering, and there's a very interesting setup.
Crouch!
Which if you were a back row for Munster, you'd be, I suppose, slightly concerned with.
Set! Stay square!
Thankfully, I was usually on the other side.
Don't go wrong, one, stay square there. Stay there, one.
Conan has it, and he controls it from McGrath. Sexton had come to the short side, and I think that was the play. He wanted the ball on this side, gesticulating to his scrum half, but in any case, here come Leinster through James Ryan, and somehow he manages to trundle on for 15 metres and more. Now, will that open up an opportunity, potentially, for the likes of Rory O'Loughlin? Not on this occasion. Penalty is the decision from Frank Murphy.
I didn't think so, but I did see that. There you go.
This is what makes James Ryan so special. His ability to ride,
exactly
actually
right.
treat the first
Back you
defender
go,
with disrespect. In some cases, it's the use of his feet for such a big guy. In other cases, simply understanding how to ride the tackle and gain the momentum. Quality play from James Ryan.
Just there again.
Perhaps wisely on this occasion, Joey Carberry has taken a little bit off the penalty kick to touch, and he's found a good touch.
But speaking of James Ryan, look at Tyke Byrne and what he does moments later. What a match we got.
I think that's 1-1.
Scannell goes for and finds John Klein, and the ball is back with Scannell, and Conor Murray can wait and direct the traffic. And now the Munster scrum half elects to play it, and it goes to Scannell, and a little switch out the back door finds the space for Earls, and he's got runners on the outside. Haley and Conway into contact goes Earls. It's quick ball though for Munster. Haley now. That was beautifully engineered from Munster. Their first real salvo in terms of what they've got up their sleeve in the offensive position. Van der Fleer can't quite get his hands on it. Now Carberry looks to kick one in behind. Has he measured it? No, there's a high tackle there from Vardy. It's Chris Cloutier on the receiving end. The ball was perilously close to the touchline over the far side, and it's all happening.
Time is off. See anything in that?
I was watching for touch.
Yeah, no, I'm going to have to check that.
So once again, we'll go upstairs to
high tackle, lads. It's going to be a penalty only. We'll wait for time to go on. It's going to be a penalty against you for high tackle if you just move back, please.
So on the screen, Frank.
Well, that's your safety belt tackle. That doesn't look good. I know there's a height differential, but still, that's poor technique for Scott Vardy. The target was there for him to hit, Stephen. It's about technique in the tackle now, isn't it?
Oh, definitely, especially with the touch line there. Even if you push him into touch, you got to know where you are on the rugby pitch. And
only because he hit him just on the shoulder.
That's slightly reckless for me.
Penalty only because the contact was on the shoulder.
Okay, just keep it down. Back you go. Back you go.
Worryingly, that's 4 penalties to 1 for Munster, and that was a very cheap one as well, because as you say, all he had to do is kind of shepherd him into touch. But the play leading to this, the line out that suckered the Leinster defence, particularly Gary Ringrose, flying up out of the line. And it was an amazing piece of Munster sucking them in and getting Keith Earls right around the back into clean green grass. A super play from Munster.
Well, the decision from the referee and his TMO wasn't a popular one. The decision to go for touch from Joey Carberry is a popular one, and it certainly will be if Munster can somehow, from this attacking situation, manufacture the first score of the evening. Cloutier, the man who's on the receiving end of the high tackle and won the penalty, has his hands on it. Conor Murray is in there telling him what's happening ahead, and they trundle around that far side, and they're getting pretty close here, and the referee says try. 14 minutes in, and it's Munster who strike first in the December derby, and up go the red flags. Is it Cloutier, is it Scannell that managed to get it down in the end? It's relatively immaterial because it's a team try, and they engineered it and manufactured it brilliantly from the set piece.
It's all about the setup. Look at the work rate from the guys at the front, just urging each other to go over the line. Conor Murray controlling things at the back. I think it's Clute is going to get his hands on the ball, getting over the try line. But this is just hard graft from these Munster players, and Leinster couldn't do anything about it. Fantastic try.
Yeah, it's Chris Clute. The ball never went anywhere else. Conor Murray was in his ear telling him what was up ahead, and ultimately it was the try line, and over he went for his 4th try in Munster colours. Well, they won't come much more difficult than this tonight, but look at that for a strike from the kicking tee from Joey Carberry.
The story of that particular try is this move here, sucking Gary Ringrose out of position, getting Keith Earls into green grass. That was the previous line out, and look at the damage they did. Munster understanding the Leinster defensive pattern and getting them, kind of sucking them into it in a way, compounded by Scott Fardy's poor technique in the tackle, and as you articulated, Stephen, a superb line-up maul. But that first line-up back play really was the sucker punch.
So Johnny Sexton gets us back underway, and Keith Earls' attempted clearance is charged down by Rory O'Loughlin. And the referee's assistant flag is up here, and there's a little bit of a flashpoint, and now there's 1 or 2
all the way
blows being shared on the floor initially.
Conor, it's fantastic. I'm just looking at the crowd in front of me, and they're all waving their fists, get stuck into each other, get stuck into each other. This is what the Inter-Pro derbies are all about.
Yeah. Back you go.
We're also trying to see on our monitors exactly what happened and where the little flashpoint initiated from.
Back you go. We are continuing here.
We've played 60 minutes. The referee is keen to try and keep everything below boiling point. Difficult task for him tonight to do that.
Well, I tell you one thing, Conor, he deserves credit for himself being under boiling point, because he is kept really cool and calm. I know we're only 16 minutes or so into the game, but he is completely composed, and is exactly the type of character you want in a match could bubble over any stage. Well, you see it there. That's again another poor tackle technique again.
One blue.
Around the neck of Conor Murray.
Yeah, one go.
You could argue his punishment already arrived with Gary Ringrose hitting
the best 3 angles.
Okay, I'll just tell you what I'm talking to. With clear foul play, it's a high tackle, okay? He catches him with a laid arm. That's the 3rd foul play penalty against him. I'm going to yellow card number 1. Okay, perfect.
So Cian Healy is going to be sanctioned with 10 minutes in the cooler.
One. And captain. Okay, I'll tell you what the issue here is, lads, right? It is clear foul play, you've caught him high. There's no denying that. My problem is, it's the 3rd one, so he has to go to the bin. Okay? Off you go. No, we did not see that. Back you go.
Frank, I'm asking in a constructive way, okay? And you said to
no
me,
problem.
You said to me before the game, once I asked in a constructive way.
Oh, we've had 3 foul penalties. Listen to me. We've
So,
had 3 that supersedes what you're saying. So back you go. Here we go. Back you go now. Here.
I'm not sure about that one, Conor. I think the 41 was a lot more intent than the Cian Healy one. He was just sort of reaching for his man. Just got it slightly wrong, but maybe just the accumulation of penalties that this Leinster team have racked up, and Cian Healy, unfortunately, on his 200th cap, pays the ultimate price of 10 minutes in sin bin.
Thanks, Johnny.
And it makes the next 10 minutes very, very interesting indeed.
We're not going yet.
The pity, of course, was that Leinster had reacted brilliantly from conceding the 7 points. They kicked off and they blocked down. They had Munster back in the 20. They did exactly all they needed to do. So it's just the sloppiness of it that's disappointing.
That's fine. That's 1-9.
Well, it was Keith Earls sanctioned with a yellow card and the penalty try in the game back in October, of course, that ultimately put the game in Leinster's favour. It's Keith Earls going in with the challenge on Rory O'Loughlin. Every single collision and every hit bodies on the line. It's another strong carry from that man, James Ryan. 40 weights. Van der Fleer is there too. Tracy protecting the ball. Now with Luke McGrath. Now Van der Fleer. No knock on in there, says Frank Murphy, and James Ryan as well, tackled by Chris Clute, the Munster try scorer. Sexton low underneath this. Reid as well, so too Andrew Conway. Now who got their hands on it? In the end it was Noel Reid who did exceptionally well under that high ball. Leinster get it moving into midfield. McGrath comes back on the short side. Gary Ringrose, can he find a little narrow corridor of space? Moves it on to Reid, his midfield partner. Furlong waits, and so too does Jack Conan. CJ Stander came flying in. Scannell can't quite slow Leinster down as much as he might have liked, and it's Ryan again, and it's Klein again, and it's CJ Stander with a potential turnover here, but the ball is back on the Leinster side. Only just. And quickly they move it to Sexton and Ringrose. There was lovely cadence on that pass, and Lorimer gets it wide, and now O'Loughlin steps inside away from the clutches of Clute, and the ball rolls over into touch on that far side, and the referee's over very quickly to try and clear blue and red and send them back to their own corner, so to speak.
Okay. There you go, that's your mark.
Great take from Noel Reid.
Just watching this Munster defence, they're getting off the line really hard in defence. Exactly the same as they did in Belfast last week. They're putting this Leinster team under pressure, but Ringrose showed there, if he can get on the outside, then the half-line breaks might come.
Scannell, and he went for Klein, who just had the hang time, I think it was, from his lifter to get that at the very much apex of his jump. Munster have it with Murray. And Murray finds a touch over on that far side. Lots to talk about in the opening 20 minutes as we nip across to the technical area and say good evening to Jerry Flannery. Jerry, your thoughts on the opening exchanges here with your side leading by 7 points to 0?
Yeah, we're happy. We have to go after the game because Leinster are too good a side to try and contain them, and that's now that we're ahead, we got to keep after as well. Any team that tries to sit on a lead against Leinster is generally going to get turned over. They're too good a side, so at the moment we just got to keep asking of them. It's going to be tough, but at the moment the lads are fronting up well.
Jerry, it's a busy game. Thanks very much for your time. We'll get back to the action because here come Flannery's Munster on the attack with Scannell. That one right over the top and taken well by the hooker now. Murray waits. Carberry. Flat to the line and looking for Dan Goggin, and there was plenty of blue in his peripheral vision. He knew there was a hit coming. Sexton sweeps one out to Lowe, who gets it back inside to Lorimer, and there's another high challenge, this time from Conor Murray on the Leinster full-back, and there's a little bit of afters again.
Hey, Johnny! Out. Back you go. Back you go. Back you go. I'm going to have to speak to both of you now. Back you go. Just get him back. Get him back.
Well, let's hear what the referee's going to do here.
Excuse me, I'm dealing with it. All right, I'm going to speak to the two captains now. Do I need to do any more? Is there anything else in that?
I don't think so. It's just a penalty only against 9 red for a high tackle.
Yeah, all right, okay. Two captains, please. Yeah, perfect. Stop. I'll be having a discussion now, and that's it. Okay? Lads, I know you're aware of what's happening here, right? It is going to be a penalty for you because it is a high tackle. The next time a player comes into something like that, he will be sent to the sideline. That is it. All right? I'll give you a minute to speak to your players. Any more reactions, and I will just deal with it myself, okay? It's going to be your penalty to restart. Please go and speak to your players.
You can tell by Johnny Sexton's body reaction. He's recalling the conversation from a few minutes ago where one of his players got sin bin. For me, it's the third man in. This was being managed by the referee, but it's the reaction of the subsequent arrival of players is where the problem is. James Lowe comes in, he adds his weight, and then a whole pile-up starts. That's the piece that I suppose that the referee has to be conscious of, and that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to.
Well, let's deal with the first one, because let's compare the use of force and the height of the tackle from Conor Murray and Jordan Larmour and compare it to what precipitated the sanction for Cian Healy.
Yeah, well, if Cian Healy's getting a yellow card, then Conor Murray should get a yellow card. Although in saying that, Leinster had a couple of high tackles which led to that yellow, so maybe that's the final warning for Munster.
Come to the line. Discipline now, please. Discipline.
So we have a Leinster line out. James Tracy is ready to deliver, and he delivers it short to the front to Rhys Ruddock.
Advantage side entry.
The player in from the side for Munster. Penalty advantage to Leinster.
Away now, lads. Away.
Now, for all of this, Leinster are still down a player, so their options are slightly limited because of it, and that's partly probably why they went for that throw to the number one in the line-out in a sense, but it doesn't really allow them to set up a quality attacking maul platform to get them over the line. So missing Cian Healy now is hugely costly.
4.5 minutes or just under the
maybe that's why they're going for the kick.
No, they can't.
There's one man, Conor, who's sitting in the stands at the minute who will be looking at this game and relishing that he was in the middle of it, and that's Peter O'Mahony. You can just imagine him grabbing lads and getting stuck into all these wee melees that are breaking out. But again, I think fantastic refereeing, settling the whole thing down, and Leinster doing the right thing here and trying to take 3 points.
Sexton strikes, and he strikes very well. A man who 12 years ago got his first ever points for Leinster against tonight's opposition. And wasn't that a nice moment of quiet and calm amid the maelstrom and bedlam that has been Thomond Park, that there's still the respect for the goal kicker as he gets Leinster's first points of the evening. 7 points to 3. Somehow we've managed to play 24 minutes. It's flown by here. So Ringrose. Healy underneath it.
Okay.
Well, there's two players underneath this, and Healy wins it from Luke McGrath. That's really good play. Great fend off his own kick from the fullback, and now Murray gets Munster moving down that narrow side. Klein, Murray again, plenty of options. Goggin was there, Clute and Earls also. CJ Stander, the captain. Kilcoyne. Earls. Tadhg Burney manages to roll away from Scott Vardy, but couldn't get away from Ruddock. Stander again. Van der Fleer had his hands on it. Sniffing out a turnover now. Carberry comes back against the green. Couldn't get his pass away. The support arrives. It's there for Conor Murray again.
Leave him now.
Clute. Back inside to CJ Stander. Van der Fleer on the turnover. Reid had two options to his left-hand side. Goes back into traffic.
Advantage over.
Now the advantage over. And that's gone beyond Conan, instead to James Ryan.
No, release, leave.
And in come the Leinster numbers to resource that breakdown. Kick straight down the middle. And it bounces into the chest of Conway. Van der Fleer got his hand on it. McGrath. And it's low over it. Rhys Ruddock to Tadhg Furlong.
Stay.
The ball is there. Just a minute left on Cian Healy's sin bin, by the way. Soon will be restored to parity of 15 aside. And Leinster probably quite sensibly just running down the clock here, controlling the situation. Ruddock is called in for that little bit of extra space for McGrath to work in. He gets his kick away, and eventually Lowe will be underneath this one up against Conway.
Play on.
No knock on in there, says Frank Murphy, who was well placed, and Fardy not.
Advantage.
The double man tackle comes in, and Scannell comes away with it. There's an advantage being played for a knock on. And Murray.
Advantage over.
Kicking down the tram lines. Off goes Lowe in chase, and Conway in behind. Oh, that's an exceptionally good kick. Really, really good kick.
And superb timing, because it'll probably be the last set piece before Cian Healy arrives again. So it's a huge opportunity for Munster, pushing Leinster right back into the 5-metre line.
There you go. There's your man.
And as I say that, Cian Healy comes out onto the pitch.
We're back to 15 aside.
That's on your first man. Just waiting for him. Let's go.
So Healy goes straight into that line out. An imperative from a Leinster point of view that Tracy hits his jumper, which he does, and it's Scott Fardy at 2 in the line. Now, can they execute the exit strategy from this situation?
Ball
is still there with Tracy, and now McGrath waits. When under intense pressure, he gets his kick away, but only as far as Conway. Offside decision against Munster, Leinster penalty.
I asked him to get back.
Scott Fardy's just so cool, calm and collected. 5 metres out from his own line. Backs himself, the responsibility. Fantastic box kick, and Leinster get a penalty and get out of jail.
So Sexton waits.
You weren't part of it.
And Johnny Sexton finds his touch. So let's have a little bit of analysis from Murray on that Munster try.
Yeah, thanks, Conor. We're just going to look at the line break before, the key line break. Scannell's playing for a receiver there, and the ball looks like it's supposed to go to Carberry. Ringrose shoots in on him. He makes that read, but it just slips beyond him. I don't know if it's deliberate from Munster, but it certainly worked out in their favour, and they took full advantage. A great score from Munster.
Thank you, Murray. Same pattern from touch for Leinster, and it works pretty well. Tracy doing well to hit Vardy, and here's James Lowe. And that's almost like his signature move at this point. Goes to ground, resets, and goes again. The little switch play back inside when Leinster had 2 on the outside. They're delving into their Pandora's box of tricks here. Strong play again from Rhys Ruddock.
Good option for
McGrath. Good hands again from Furlong. Gets it away. It's from to Van der Fleer, who was hit pretty hard again by Jean Klein, who's got through a par of work in that Munster engine room. Turnover penalty at the breakdown. And again, there's plenty of chat in there. It's Chris Clute who stayed down.
Anytime you see that blue helmet, you should panic, shouldn't you? You should try and stay on the stay off the deck as long as you possibly can. I haven't seen. I don't know, Steve. Did you see what happened to Clute? But look at that blue helmet. He comes in. You could argue he was part of the tackle, because the tackle hadn't been complete maybe when he arrived. That's nitpicking, I suppose.
In that case, he did enough.
I think that's fantastic work from Tadhg And just looking at the Leinster attack, they've been pretty good getting the small tip-ons, and completely the opposite from Munster. When Munster were going through phases, we're stepping back inside constantly against traffic. And you just see the one time that Leinster do step in against the traffic, Tadhg there to get the penalty.
Rewards you there, but it's close.
But I thought Leinster managed the sin bin clock superbly. They really killed the clock at every possible opportunity. They managed possession, and they burned it and burned it and burned it all the way through.
Time's off. You're going to look after your player.
Well, he said this week when he was asked about the fact that they've lost the last 2 matches without scoring a try, was it something he was concerned about? He said not overly, because they talk about the season as a whole and the fact that it'll ebb and flow. And if you think back to the game against Leinster in October, they were almost at a low ebb going into that game, and they produced a really, really strong performance. And certainly they've replicated that in the opening 30 minutes here. Now the referee, meantime,
Just
as
keep an eye on them in the midfield there, lad. Yeah,
attention continues, has come down to the screen away to our left-hand side just to review it. And they've got another very, very big decision to make.
Well, it doesn't, on first viewing there, it doesn't look fantastic. It's the shoulder on the head, which does not look particularly good
here, Frank.
Yeah, fine. I've seen the foul play. I can identify the foul play. I want to see that in full speed, Simon, please.
Okay, interestingly, Frank Murphy wants to see this
now, Frank.
in real time.
That's full speed,
I think, Conor, it also doesn't help when Chris Cloutez is lying on the ground and it looks like he's going to have to get stretchered off.
Okay.
Not looking good at the minute.
I'd like to see one last time in slow motion because I just want to see where the seventh head emerges. Because I'm not sure he's aware where he's hitting. That makes sense? You know what I mean?
Well, that's an interesting it's an interesting question from Frank.
In other words, was Tyke Furlong aware that there was a head there as he arrived? So he wasn't specifically aiming at a Munster jersey if he didn't know it was there. Hasn't he been really cool in these conditions?
Clear foul play. Okay.
He wasn't cool as a player, I can tell you that.
Yes.
Correct. Okay. From there on, the number 7 from Munster's head emerges. The player's not sure, so it's a bit of an awkward collision. There is an intent in it, as far as I can see, so it's going to be a yellow card to number 3.
I agree.
Thank you very much.
So it's going to be a second yellow card. There was serious discussion over the colour of the card, and it's yellow for Tyke Furlong.
Okay, captain. Come with me. I'll speak to number 3 and I'll speak to their captain as well. Listen, I agree with you. You don't need to speak to me. And 3.
Well, let's hear
I'll
the
speak to all of you
explanation.
because I want to explain this. Okay, it is clear foul play. You've made no effort to wrap. Okay, what I do understand is his head has popped out and it's an awkward collision. So it's going to be a yellow card. When you come back on, I need you to be behaved. Fair enough? There you go.
I think it's important to repeat again the quality of that refereeing, just the coolness, the calmness of it, and the ability.
I think the difference wasn't there's no intent. His head popped out. I've explained it to your captain.
The ability to communicate with players, international lines, top-end players, and communicate them at their level, and be able to explain, listen, that they mightn't be happy with his ultimate decision, but they accept it and they respect it. And he has kept really, really cool in a match that could easily bubbled over a long time ago.
I'm a huge fan of Tyke Furlong, but for me, if I was wearing a red jersey of Munster, I wouldn't be happy with that decision at all. You know, the laws that they are at the minute, and unfortunately we see Chris Cloutez getting stretchered off the pitch. Nobody wants to see that, and we wish him all the very best, and hopefully it's not too serious an injury. And we'll see him back out in Thomond Park very soon.
Yep, and that certainly at this moment in time is the most important sentiment, of course, the welfare of the player. But player welfare brings us back to the way the game is officiated, and if Tyke Furlong is hitting that ruck to clear someone out, he knows there's a Munster player there, and with no effort to wrap.
Well, that's not the interpretation of Frank Murphy, the referee.
He said there was no intention, no effort made to wrap, and it was dangerous.
Yes, but he also
made
the point that he was making the point that Tyke Furlong was not necessarily aware that Cloutez was there at the point of entering. So it wasn't as if he targeted Cloutez, like what we saw Scott Martin doing earlier on. And that's the point I'm making, is that he has actually communicated his interpretation.
Well, my only question then, in the interest of balance, is what did he think he was going to hit?
I mean, he was latching on. So, they're laws because they're not absolutely defined. They're open to interpretation. He has interpreted the way he has, and then he's communicated that to the players. Some of them may not be happy, and rightly so. But at the same time, he's made his decision based on his interpretation.
So between now and half-time, for the second time in the opening half of this game, Munster will find themselves against 14.
There we go.
And they'll look to seize the advantage a little more between now and half-time. They lead by 7 points to 3, remember. A Chris Clute try converted by Joey Carberry after 15 minutes. And the singular riposte coming from Johnny Sexton's boot.
They haven't entered yet. Back you go. Come in.
So Conor Murray's in the back line with CJ Stander standing at scrum half.
Line out over. That's fine. Don't put it down.
So they went to Arno Bota. He's straight into the thick of the action. He's been tremendous for Munster this season. There's another CJ Stander carry, almost up to that Leinster 22. Taken on by Ryan. And the latch on this time from Arno Bota, and in comes the clear out from Tag Byrne, and it's through the legs of Conor Murray, who assesses the situation.
Just touch, all went backwards.
Ball went backwards from Conor Murray, who was heading for touch, and that's where the ball eventually ends up.
Like, considering the line-out setup, they had CJ Stander at scrum half and Conor Murray out. It was clearly going to be line-up maul, but it was very sloppy play, wasn't it? They sourced the ball, but then they never remained in control of it at any stage, forcing Conor Murray to run down a blind alley in many ways, just with swarm of blue jerseys.
Let's go.
They're the differences. That's why Munster aren't necessarily scoring the amount of tries they'd like to, because they had a really good attacking platform, yet became a little bit sloppy when they needed to be focused.
Yeah, I think they just need to get a bit more direct, you know, just get round the corner, try and outwork this Leinster's team, especially when they're a man down, and get a bit of momentum, get this crowd behind them. It's gone a little bit quiet. There's been a lot of injuries, a number of yellow cards, so, you know, just be that little bit more direct, try and get this home crowd behind them.
I think we need to send a request into the Pro 14 for special dispensation to get a 20-minute half time to try and go through all the action we've seen. A lot of it not to do with the direct play, really. And it all started with that collision really between Finan Wycherley and Johnny Sexton inside the opening 3 or 4 minutes.
That was a nice moment for Wycherley now, in fairness. His first major big game.
It's a case if it ain't broke, don't fix it, and Tracy goes for 40 at the front of that Leinster line-out in that defensive situation.
Stay there, 8 back. 8. Good, he was good there.
Up it goes from Luke McGrath. Andrew Conway underneath it. He came from a long, long way, and we're going to have more cards here.
Time off. Yeah. Listen, I'm checking level of sanction now. That's all. Back you go.
Chorus of boos around Coleman Park.
In fact, James Lowe stayed on the ground, puts him in a very, very bad place.
Exactly what I'm saying. I'm seeing a definite yellow card. I need to take the level of sanction.
Conor, I could almost watch him 2 or 3 yards before the contact was made, that he could see the man and he couldn't stop himself. He was running that fast and he had no option just to bundle into him.
We're going to have to look at it, so. Okay. We're looking at it. Simon, we're going to check that, please.
Just as he's walking up to the screen,
it's coming on the screen
it
now.
looked like James Lowe stayed on the deck, which is
reason.
absolute nightmare stuff. You got to get up into the air to contest.
So Frank Murphy is going to look at this to determine whether it's a yellow or a red, and it's head first into the turf, and that determines the colour of the card.
His line.
There's only one colour this can be.
From that view, if we look at it, they run side by side, but it does not affect his line, so it is clear foul play with no mitigating circumstance. Okay. Thereafter, on the foul play, he takes him out without contesting for the ball, and he lands on his head, so I'll be looking at a red card.
Yeah. It's going to be a red card for James Lowe.
Okay, and we're looking at number, is he 14 or 11? 11.
Some people might disagree with me, but I have a small bit of sympathy for James Lowe. He was just running a full tilt, just reckless moment, and he's going to face the ultimate price of a red card.
Land on his head.
But you can't contest the ball and stay on the ground when the opposition player is in the air. You just can't. For all the obvious reasons what it does, but it presents the referee with no choice. That goes back to interpretation again, Stephen. Like, he entered the, like, there's no way he ran up with that intention. But unfortunately, he stayed on the ground, and the outcome was horrific, and could be horrific. So you have to manage the well-footed player in this stage.
And that's the key word. You've nailed it on the head. Outcome is the word. That's all they've got to consider, and that's the correct outcome because of the angle that he landed on his head and his neck.
Discipline, lads.
Are we still only 32 minutes into the game?
I won't ask you again, lads. You stay in your front, man. I'll bring them in. Come in, Munster. Munster.
So against 13.
Same line-out setup.
7 or 8 minutes. Can Munster turn the screw, use their numerical advantage to good effect here? That's a pretty good shape about that maul.
Same maul, same maul.
And now Scannell breaks away and 40's over it. In goes John Ryan. Conor Murray digs it out. And here come Munster again with Tadhg. Van der Fleer with a tackle. Arno Bolter there too, and Conor Murray gets it away to Kilcoyne. Ferocious pace about the tackling and the appetite for the contact from both sides. And so it continues. That was a good pick-up from Scannell, who goes over the top from James Tracy. Advantage coming here as Murray brings play up to 5 metres. 33 minutes on the watch, and Munster lead by 7 points to 3, and they come seeking out a second try of the evening. CJ Stander, Ringrose is there. Murray waits, Bolter over the top, Murray goes on the outside. Referee was playing the advantage. Lormer came in with the intercept, and back we go for the penalty.
And that's exactly what I was talking about earlier on. Just get them all going forward, and they just work round the corner, and they got the whole way to the touchline, and they win themselves a penalty. That's fantastic work by Munster.
Listen to me clearly now. That's another foul play penalty for no arms tackle. Have a word with your team. We just can't see any more of it. Too many. Please, talk to them. 2, no arms. Okay, here's your mark. Yep. Time on. Post call.
I think this is an interesting one here because the numbers at this stand is 15 against 13. 3 points for me at this stage for Munster. It's nice on the board, but I think they could be brutally more ambitious. If they even took a scrum from there, Leinster are in terrible trouble because they have to bring on a prop, they have to take off a back row, completely mess up the Leinster back row. For me, Munster should have gone for a scrum there. Either way, it would have messed up the arrangements, but you still would have the space and numbers advantage and a try out of begging.
I totally agree with you. Do you think they would have went for the maul or the scrum if Peter O'Mahony had been on the pitch?
It's hard to know, but like I would say, really mess up Leinster, go for scrum, as we said.
So Joey Carberry adds the 3 points, and Munster hit double figures. 10 points to 3. The 15 men of Munster lead the 13 men of Leinster with 5.5 minutes of a pulsating first half remaining at Thomond Park in Limerick.
What is it? It's not mine. I'll keep it in my pocket.
He probably needs 2 whistles tonight, doesn't he, Frank Murphy? Not to mention eyes in the back of his head. He's had good assistance from both sides, from his assistants and the TMO. Lots to debate at half-time. Sexton goes long with the restart. Yeah, a little bit too long.
Scrum back.
Well, you don't see that too often.
He's human after all.
You could write a thesis on his body language, and referees are making decisions against him or his team.
Time off, subs on, lads. We need him for the scrum. 6 blue, lads. 6 blue.
So off goes Rhys Ruddock, a huge loss. And that's the point we were making earlier on. If you have that opportunity to force it, and we know that Michael Bent probably isn't one of the strongest scrummaging tight head props available, so Munster could force these advantages.
All right. Scrum to be fine. We just want to keep the space. Thank you. Crouch. Bind. Set. Steady.
So in it goes from Murray.
Both going across. Both going across.
And 2 sets of forwards just crumbling.
I can't reward anywhere there, lads. Went straight across.
This game is offering Frank Murphy every possible permutation of a refereeing decision known to man.
Lads, 2 of you turning in. Stay square for me, no problems.
Yeah, it's only his 21st game in this competition. He could referee another 200 and he won't have been to some of the places he's gone in 35 minutes here.
And with Clute going off, there's been a reshuffle of the Munster back row. Both are going in. Number 8, CJ Stander, looking like he's gone in. They'll probably play left or right. They haven't played. There hasn't been enough evidence yet, but he's probably going to be at 7, Wycherley at 6, remain at 6.
It's principally the voice of CJ Stander you can hear there bellowing out from the centre of the pitch. Here's Joey Carberry. Good tackle on the Munster fly half on that occasion. Murray goes back inside to Conway. Good tackle in that instance from Johnny Sexton.
Tackle, roll 9.
Luke McRyan there trying to hold that up.
I'm not going to be in your way, don't worry.
Conway. And it goes to Tag Byrne.
No.
Clear out is good, and Murray's there again. Carberry. CJ Stander, the Munster captain. That's loose after the tackle, but illegally so. Munster penalty.
He was on the ball, you took his space.
(10-4) is the penalty count. If Munster wanted to go quickly with that one, they can't.
Captain.
But what's worse, 10-4, 1 red, 2 yellow count.
Shot called.
But
2 minutes to half time against 13. Once again, it's the option of keeping the scoreboard ticking over from a considerable distance here for Joey Carberry.
There you go. He's directly in the 9th part.
Watched Joey Carberry play in the final for Clontarf only a couple of years ago, and how his career has propelled. It's unbelievable where he's come from, and you know, coming on in that game against the All Blacks in Chicago and being involved in Six Nations teams is just unbelievable. And now applying his trade down here in Munster, superb.
Barely a breath of wind at Thomond Park. What there is around this stadium is in the face of Joey Carberry, but he slots his kick beautifully and expertly between the uprights. And as we approach half-time, it's Munster leading Leinster by 13 points to 3. So 2 penalties against the 13 of Leinster.
Come on, lads. Work away. Have we got a man off?
So Tadhg Furlong is coming back in.
Conor, I suppose you got to go back to where that came from. You know, it was the Johnny Sexton kick that he kicked it long, and Conor Murray tossed it down, and it all came from the halfway line, and that's where Munster got their penalty from a few phases later. So capitalising on these small errors.
Yeah, we laud these two teams for their execution and their exactness in terms of what they do in every facet of the game, but there's been lots of mistakes out there tonight for sure.
That's half time.
So we are over the 40 minutes. And Conor Murray elects to kick the ball off the park, and the busiest man at Thomond Park tonight, Frank Murphy, blows the half-time whistle on a 40 minutes of Pro 14 rugby that has had absolutely everything from the first minute to the last, and 40 still to come, but poised at half-time against 14. It's Munster who lead Leinster by 13 points to 3.
Leinster down to 40 men. What can we expect in the second half, Donnchadh?
Hopefully a bit of rugby, Tommy. Like, we want to see them full-blooded and meaning everything to the players on the pitch, but we've seen very little rugby. There's been loads off the ball. You have to be here to see how much actually is going on off the ball, but hopefully the coaches can actually take a moment with the leaders and say, you need to set the platform for the guys, for the rest of the guys to look to you know, and that's all.
Look, Leinster perspective, calm it down, retain possession for long periods, try and dictate the pace of the game. That's going to be key for them. Retain it well, kick well. From a Munster perspective, the temptation in these situations, Tommy, is to throw it wide. bad decision. Make your inroads in the tight, get momentum, and then put the pressure. Squeeze Leinster out.
Okay, let's head back up to our commentators, Stephen, Liam and Connor.
Fascinating second 40 minutes in prospect here at Thomond Park in Limerick as Leinster are first out from the away dressing room for the second half. We resume, of course, 15 against 14 following that red card for James Lowe. We did have some decent rugby at half-time, so full credit to the minis of Douglas and Dolphin for keeping us entertained in that regard. But what we're seeing at interprovincial level and Guinness Pro 14 level is a fascinating tussle between these two teams, which really from the opening 2 or 3 minutes it descended into a contest of real ill-discipline, and sporadically a game of rugby broke out, and when it did, it was Munster who had the better of it, and they lead by 13 points to 3 as we head into the second half. Remember, well, there's Dave Carney, who was due to start on the right wing tonight, but picked up a leg injury, we understand, in the warm-up and was unable to do so, replaced by Noel Reid. Joey Carberry, who's kicked exceptionally well from the kicking tee tonight, 3 from 3 in that opening half. Remember, he didn't have a great night in France a couple of weeks ago when he left, I think it was 9 points on the post, but that long behind him tonight as he gets us underway in the second half of this game at Thomond Park. I'm almost scared to ask Liam what you think is we can anticipate for the second half. I don't think it'll be the same as the first, surely.
Well, that's about the most perfect start that Munster could have expected. A kind of a fresh air bouncing ball into touch on the Leinster 22. A perfect start for Munster.
Tracy, he was trying to find James Ryan. It was John Klein's hand in there.
Stay back 5.
McGrath kicking.
Advantage over.
I suppose feeding off our thoughts at half-time, it's really interesting to see how Munster are going to use that extra number. How can they utilise that extra player to hurt Leinster?
Well, they scored their try in the 15th minute from a line-out maul. Chris Clute, who's since gone off injured, was the benefactor and the finisher of that. Orno Bota in there wearing number 20, his replacement.
Stay there now. Leave him, lads.
Scannell and now Murray. Back on the inside from Tag Burnett goes. Yes, the pattern of this second half and the approach from both teams will be fascinating. Murray. Carberry, a little bit deeper on that occasion to find Rory Scannell. Good continuity here being shown by Munster, and then a little bit of impetus, as there nearly always is when Dave Kilcoyne has ball in hand. Carberry, out it goes to Goggin, takes 2 to stop him, a combination of Noel Reid and Johnny Sexton.
Roll!
Cries of penalty from the Leinster side, but it goes the other way for not rolling away. Munster penalty is the decision.
7 roll away.
Munster getting everything tonight. I think that's pretty harsh. Cian Healy on his 200th game, as we'd said, was right over that ball looking for the penalty. And Murray and I touched on it pre-match about Munster's attack, and we were going through 10, 12 phases there. They weren't really going anywhere. And another silly penalty, and they just keep mounting up.
But it looks like that Munster are actually playing for that outcome, because as they were shipping the ball along, hunting for a possible weakness, there was no decoys, there was no elaborate plays, there was nothing relatively creative about what Munster were doing in a sense. But yet, if they keep getting 3 points and keep shipping up on the scoreboard, so that's a fantastic outcome.
They struck that with plenty of conviction, and we've barely played 3 minutes of the second half here at Thomond Park, and it's 3 more points, and the scoreboard keeps ticking over for Munster. They lead by 16 points to 3. Four out of 4-2 for Joey Carberry. And Scannell fires one down into touch just in front of us.
Just keep setting that for me, please.
Just watching James Ryan and Johnny Sexton talking amongst each other. Just trying to get things right.
We're not going into the midfield.
Hold on to possession, as Luke Fitzgerald said at half-time. They just need to keep hold of the ball, try and get some momentum in this game, because at the minute, Munster are just suffocating everything that they do.
Tracy, this time he goes beyond 40 and he finds instead Rhys Ruddock. Into midfield they go via Noel Reid, and it's there eventually at the feet of McGrath. Orno Bota in there trying to rip it clear from the grasp of James Ryan. And now Sexton out the back, they go to Ringrose. McGrath.
Advantage.
Van der Fleer. Leinster advantage here. And they carry it on into that Munster 22. Penalty advantage is still there as McGrath goes out to Ryan. On it goes to Healy. No advantage coming.
Okay, offside. Yeah.
16 points to 3 with
Offside.
14. What's the decision here? Johnny Sexton straight away. No real debate about it. Is going to the corner.
That's a brilliant nudge by Johnny Sexton.
Offside,
Put it right on the 5-metre line.
Please, Red.
Leinster have got a full pack. Are they going to get over?
Red on the line.
It's certainly liven this game up for sure.
It's almost as though we're 45 minutes into the game waiting for the European and Pro 14 champions to click into gear. Will it be via this line-out situation? Conan took it well. Van der Fleer at the back has it. He's a little bit exposed there. In goes Scannell, so too Earls. Ball goes to groin. The referee's playing another advantage here. The penalty count is ticking still further.
Penalty advantage.
McGrath. And the little kick through, that's inventive. And it just comes off the post and it's dotted down by Andrew Conway.
Penalty advantage collapsing.
So we're going back for that penalty.
Just as you could be bored into death by some of the rugby on play, up pops a wonderful piece of execution, a little drill. He knew he had the advantage, of course, Sexton, but the way he just drilled the ball into the green grass under the posts, and only for the bounce of the ball, it would have been a cracking try.
Just be careful of penalties in this area. On the 5. It's a second.
Another little warning for Munster of concession of those penalties in the so-called red zone. You heard a Munster voice saying that's the first. Referee straight away said it's the second.
They're fine there.
And it was Ruddock previously, as it is again.
Fine. Positive
It's
now,
quickly back into the
Munster.
hands of Tracy, and they're moving at a rate of knots here, and they're making good yardage. Tracy very close to that line now. Can they get it down? Cries of try.
Tyke Furlan thinks it's a try.
I've absolutely nothing there, lads. I've absolutely nothing there.
We'll have to check upstairs anyway.
Simon, we've no evidence of grounding, so I'm going to ask you try yes or no, please.
Okay, Frank, we'll try yes or no, we'll review.
I was watching Tyke Furlong there. You can see him on screen, actually. Yeah, that's a try, he said.
Well, there you can, just for a second, you can see the ball right of your picture.
I'm in goal there, Simon, so if we see the ball on the ground.
That looked like it,
See
doesn't
a
it?
grounding there, are we happy with that?
Yeah, that's certainly...
Frank, I
Yes.
have a decision.
Yes.
You may award the try.
Thank you very much.
So Leinster have themselves a try. James Tracy scores. And it seems as though we've waited an awful long time for it, but Leinster, having trailed by 16 points to 3, have given themselves a foothold in this second half.
That's the sign of the champions. They're never going to lie down, and fantastic play. We'll just see it here again. They get them all going forward. Josh van der Fleer, Tracy ends up getting on the end of it. And it's just the momentum that gets them over the line. There's nothing Munster can do.
But on top of that, Stephen, the line-up management of Ryan, each time they visited, they've hit a different target. Each time they've had a different maul set up in many, many ways. Really good line-up management to execute that score.
And all of a sudden, we have a real game on our hands once again. It's a 6-point game at Thomond Park. Munster 16, the 14 men of Leinster 10.
You can almost see the focus of the Leinster players shifting away from an ill-disciplined type of an attitude into very focused. We saw it against Connacht. They were, with 10 minutes to go, they were 10+ points down. We knew exactly what they're going to do, and they did it. I get a feeling that Leinster are swinging towards that direction now.
Conan takes the Carberry restart, and he makes good yardage, and he's not held in the tackle, so he makes another 3 or 4, 5 metres. It's there for Luke McGrath. And under pressure once again, he gets his kick away. Healy came from a long way, and he's knocked that forward. Just didn't quite get to the pitch of the ball.
That's one of the battles tonight, Jack Conan versus CJ Stander. And to be honest, I think Jack Conan's probably carried the ball better than CJ tonight. He's getting over the gain line. The first carry of the game, he was there to take it. And again, off that kickoff, showing intent and physicality. And he's a tremendous athlete. The CJ Stander might have something to say about that come the last 30 minutes of this game.
This is your mark. Now we're ready to go.
James Lowe, from the 32nd minute, was forced to play no further part in that red card. Yeah, Jack Conan, by the way, first Pro 14 appearance since that game against Connacht in September down at the Sports Ground in Galway.
Crouch! Bind! Set! Steady! One! I can see, we can't continue. Ball isn't in. Okay? It's a clear slip. Yeah, we'll move it out a bit.
Just a slip on this occasion. Started the semi-final and the final of this competition last season, Jack Conan.
Yeah, I think
20 minutes of the European final against Racing.
All right, so I need you to hold your weight. No problem.
Scored a try actually against Munster in the semi-final. He's managed 20 in his 82 games for Leinster over the course of his career so far. Jack Conan, very prolific.
Seconds. Crouch! Bind! Set! Steady now! Stay there, one, don't step out. Don't step out. Stay.
And it's Conan controlling at the base. Sexton potentially looking for that little bit of a wraparound, but it came asunder when the Leinster player lost his footing. There was no pass going infield on the end of that, and that's a big tackle from Arno Bota. Trademark tackle from him, and another carry from Conan. McGrath to Vardy. That's a quicker ball for McGrath. Gets it away to Rhys Ruddock. And that's another very strong carry from Leinster's blindside. Now the little pop over the top from McGrath is read by Earls, who was quickly on to the retreat. Gathered it well, and there's his kick downfield, asking the question of Lormer. Very, very close to that sideline. Did he put a foot in touch? I'm not sure he did. Well, that's a very solid piece of defensive work. Well, the referee
did he take the ball back into the 22? Can I? Can someone... Did he take the ball back into the 20? I think he did.
I think he did, yeah.
All right, we know what's no pressure.
Here we can... Oh, just about maybe.
Here goes Murray. Carberry now. Scannell put to the ground by 2 Leinster players.
Hey, he had no option there, lads, no option there.
52 minutes in, 16 points to 10. Perfectly poised.
But the good news, Conor, is the game is certainly loosening up and we're seeing a bit more flow of the ball, which is good to see.
Yes, a modicum of calm in the second half, thankfully.
Stay here.
Murray just delayed. Scannell. Healy was there in support.
Careful.
And they worked that short side. There's another big tackle in there. It was Conan again. Ringrose was there also. And
roll tackler. Thank you.
no let up in the tenacity. Loose pass and just a momentary lapse in concentration. McGrath all the way back to his own try line. Well, that's a decent nudge in terms of a riposte from the Leinster scrum half.
Throughout that attacking play, Munster, they ran out of options. The numbers of backs available to Maz backs, whether they were forwards or backs, was running out. At one point, there was only Botha with another player inside, and was 2 available out of a total of 15 players.
Give you time, lads.
That's the worrying aspect of why Munster aren't converting opportunities into more scores.
Stay back 9.
The execution is good from Munster. There's plenty of movement prior to the delivery from Scannell. Murray waits. And now he looks to get that back line moving. The 2 12s come together in midfield as Scannell is hit by Reid, and pivoting is the scrum half. And he gets it away to Kilcoyne, who bounces off Johnny Sexton. 3-on-3 momentarily out wide, but look at the line speed in defence from Leinster, and Van der Fleer in particular brings Joey Carberry to ground, and away goes Conor Murray on the snipe this time. Klein goes in. Rhys Ruddock has got through a huge amount of work, but Munster are beginning to punch 1 or 2 holes in this Leinster rear guard. It's quick hands from Carberry. Out it goes to Earls, to Conway, and they're looking to drive Conway over. He's got the ball back on the Munster side, but it's going to a Leinster hand, and it comes to nothing. It looked as though they might be in. There was quick thinking and quick hands, and all done in relatively little space. And when that ball came loose from Andrew Conway, it could have gone anywhere. It went to a Leinster hand. The decibel level rising inside Thomond Park. McGrath waits. And the siege momentarily at least is lifted.
Leinster just riding the Munster storm at the minute, but Andrew Conway, the first thing that you're taught in taking the ball into contact is to protect the ball, and he didn't do that. The Leinster defence, take your hat off to them, defending valiantly. And just see Kilcoyne, he's so powerful. Just always gets over the gain line and always gets the crowd behind him.
Well, that was very contestable. It's going forward off a Munster hand. Again, we're talking about these small margins and little individual errors. Now potentially we're talking about a little bit of brilliance on the counter-attack for Leinster here as the ball goes through the hands from Larmour to Rory O'Loughlin. Now it's Sexton. Oh, and he gets away from 1 or 2 challenges. John Ryan eventually got a hand on him. McGrath, Reid. Oh, that's clever. And it's Larmour against Healy. Great tackle. There's no margin for error against the dancing feet of Jordan Larmour, but Healy stuck to his guns and he hit his man hard. Sexton. A little bit of a decoy that time on the wraparound from James Ryan.
Advantage.
There's another penalty advantage coming here as Van der Fleer, with huge amount of impetus, hits the line at pace on that narrow channel. Sexton knows he's got the advantage. Shot to nothing on the far side, looking for O'Loughlin. Larmour in behind. And still the referee plays the advantage wisely because Larmour's in possession. Earls does well. And look at that for a clear out from 2 Munster players, but back we go. Leinster penalty.
Roll away. 2. Needs to be quicker. Not the second time, the first time.
The pace of the game, certainly with ball in hand and in terms of expansive rugby, has just been ratcheted up a notch or 2 in the last 10 or 15 minutes.
What we saw there from Leinster's ambition inside their 22, they're probably at their most lethal inside their 22. It seems ridiculous to say, particularly when they're down a man. But quite quick, 2 passes later, Larmour gets his hands in the ball, and also some opportunities are there. Whereas Munster have chosen to go the narrowest of narrow routes and piling as many people into the breakdown as they possibly can. Leinster, where possible, are looking to go wide.
Time is off, lads, when we get a stop.
Beautiful pass there by Noel Reid. Just holding the play, just a slight delay on it. And Larmour. A fair play. Munster, Mike Healy makes a superb tackle.
Stephen Archer is in for John Ryan meanwhile. And that's gone right over the top. It was an interesting decision from Johnny Sexton to go for touch over on that far side from a kind of position.
Stay there, guys.
From where Joey Carberry kicked 3 points in the first half for Munster. It hasn't worked out in their favour yet at this point. It's Tadhg Byrne with yet another carry.
Please stop.
There's a little bit of a tussle over on the far side from Kilcoyne and Ruddock. Nothing much to it. The ball and touch over on that far side, just shy of the 10-metre line.
We're saying James Ryan's line-up management has been superb, but this one you got to give credit to Munster's line-up management, getting Tadhg Byrne into there, floating, like the power of the lifters there, particularly from behind, to push him up into the air and also transition him towards where the ball is. That's quality line-out lifting. Tadhg Byrne does okay too, obviously, but the 2 boys lifting him, that's quality play. The read and the execution.
I think Tadhg Byrne's been probably one of Munster's best players here tonight. A couple of turnovers in the first half, causing disruption at the line-out.
And this time it was endeavoured to be a good deal more safe towards the front. A wry smile from Scott Vardy.
Wasn't contestable.
Okay, we're just going to set this scrum, and it's an opportune time to nip across to John Fogarty and get his thoughts on the game so far as we approach the 3/4 mark. John.
2.
Yeah, look, it's been a game, huge intensity, and that brings a lot of pressure. Discipline early in the first half has cost us moments, and I guess the moment that we just saw there, missed opportunity at line out, can hurt us, so we need to make sure we're nice and accurate to finish out this game.
Given the kind of fractious nature, John, of the first half and the amount of sin binnings and disciplinary issues, what was the message from the coaching ticket at halftime in the Leinster dressing room?
Just important that we're clear in our heads and that we're focusing on what we need to do. The message was that we need to be nice and accurate, and that stands still now. We need to be nice and accurate, nice and composed, to put Munster under pressure so that we can build scores.
Always a pleasure. Thanks for your time, John. Thank you.
Stay square.
There has been a good deal more composure from both sides in the second half, certainly in the opening 20 minutes anyway. And there's a Munster penalty.
Away,
a raft of changes, as you can see. Peter Dooley, Brian Byrne and Kieran Frawley has come in, so Johnny Sexton is off for the last 20 minutes. And what a closing quarter to this game, given the scoreline and what's at stake for a player like Kieran Frawley.
Kieran Frawley, man of the match against the Ospreys only a number of weeks ago. He's been ripping it up in the BNI Cup as well. A lot of talent, and he's got 20 minutes here to show what he's worth.
Yeah, he kicked 17 points that night against the Ospreys. He was pretty much flawless. Okay, well, we were down with Murray Kinsella for the Munster try in the first half. Let's see what he made of the Leinster try in the second.
Yeah, Conor, we just want to look at how they got into position, winning a penalty with a really clever line-out attack. They're working from right to left, and then suddenly they sweep back. Van der Fleer on the ball, as we mentioned. There's Sexton and Ringrose in behind, just sweeping around. Munster do manage it. But just on the next phase, you're going to see Wycherley back to his feet after they scramble, and that's when players make poor decisions. Up on his feet, offside position, and suddenly Leinster are down in the right-hand corner.
Murray, thank you.
Keep coming, keep coming.
And Leinster have got their hands on it here. Crucially, first touch for Frawley, and there's huge hang time on that kick. It's way up into the night sky here in Limerick, and
advantage.
Perhaps should have been clear. Rory O'Loughlin looked to be in a good position to take that.
Okay.
As it is, Conor Murray's got his hands on it.
Into it. High tackle.
And there's another high tackle.
All right.
Munster penalty.
Captain, I know that one's accidental, but let's not let that creep back into the game, okay?
You see that quite a bit when the receiver takes the ball and guys are just looking to make a hit and put him to deck. That generally that seatbelt tackle comes into play.
Time off here.
Maybe something that
okay,
the coaches will look at going forward
let's go, guys.
with the game. It's
Back
just
you go
getting the
for
guy
me.
to grind
Back
around
you
the
go
ankles
for me.
because there seems to be a lot of penalties after the up and unders.
Johnny Sexton's having an ice pack applied to that knee of his. Another interprovincial match, of course, coming up next week, and then it's back into Europe. It's Toulouse at home and then Wasps away for Leinster.
Back here. Here you go. If they stand off, yes, you can. But they're not standing off.
So again, because of the red card, right in the blind side of Leinster, there's no blue jersey at all. They've had to stack the open side completely. So for me, off the top, hit the middle and do a rewind down into where the space is, because Leinster have, they only have 14 players. They can't protect every spot on the pitch. Can Munster attack it?
Here's CJ Stander. There's another really big hit going in there, that time on Scannell. It's the other Scannell, Niall, who waits and gets his hands on it.
Advantage offside.
Advantage coming here, Leinster offside as Furlong went in to make the tackle, but it's against Jack Conan.
We're in the midfield, are we, Sean?
It's such a soft penalty to give away. Leo Cullen and the rest of that coaching ticket you alluded to earlier on, Conor, will be furious with that.
Shot called.
Yes, you want to get off the line and make an impact, but you've got to be behind the hindmost foot, and unfortunately that's another easy 3 points if Joey Carberry can step up and keep his 100% record.
And if he does, in a fixture, it's hard to pick out a standout player, but if he continues 100%, he may prove to be the key difference between both sides. But I still don't understand. Munster don't appear to have a strategy 15 against 14.
And the noise will tell you straight away, as soon as the ball left the kicking tee, it was accurate, it was struck true and with conviction, and it's another 3 points for the thus far flawless Joey Carberry. 19 points to 10, fascinating final 15 minutes.
And as the replacements are pouring in, certainly the Munster bench looks a bit stronger, a bit more impact, doesn't it?
Yeah, we were saying that when the team was announced, that it's very seldom you see a bench like that for Leinster with so little experience, relatively speaking, to what is normally there.
We take, says Albie Mathewson, if he comes on like as a scrum half, he can change the pace of the game. Just the speed and the enthusiasm he brings to the game. I'm not saying that Conor Murray will come off, but if he does come on, he can make differences.
Darren Sweetenham and Billy Holland then both coming in. There's Scannell using that huge left boot of his. Lormer and sends it skyward. Healy's come a long way. He's been very good for that under the high ball, and he almost got away but for the intervention of Josh van der Fleer there. Now Sweetenham.
Stay.
He'll be keen to show what he can
That's
do.
fine.
Thrown into the thick of things here at a crucial time in the game.
Yeah, no problem.
Carberry. Now, was that forward? We're not quite in line, but there was a huge appeal from the Munster supporters. Frawley dinks one through. Leinster asking the question.
No, it was not, thank you.
Back up in the touch on that far side.
Leinster actually defending with 12 men in the front line. And Luke McGrath is covering the backfield where James Lowe is going to be. Obviously Jordan Lorimer as well, so high work rate from the scrum half.
You're on the line, Munster.
But also there's opportunity around the breakdown, because sometime, well, I know the modern Irish scrum half position tends to be in the back line defence itself, but around the breakdown there might be opportunities.
And Joey Carberry doesn't look entirely comfortable, stretching out those hamstrings before he took that latest penalty.
No, I never changed.
James Ryan again took the line out exceptionally well, and he's carried a huge amount of ball as he always does.
You're fine.
McGrath. Ringrose. He's had precious little room in which to work tonight, Gary Ringrose, thus far anyway. Lorimer. That's superb play from Keith Earls.
Good contest.
McGrath once more to that man Ryan. Now Ringrose. Scott Vardy.
No feet.
Ball slow back to the feet of McGrath. He gets it away to Furlong. Frawley again goes with the boot. And this one dropping in front of Healy, who calls it ahead of Sweetenham and takes it really well. And then he finds and feeds Sweetenham. Healy's over it, so too Earls.
Stay. Good.
Billy Holland gets himself involved and Bota protects it. Leinster penalty is a decision from Frank Murphy.
Prevented any contest side entry.
He's had another big game, CJ Stander, wearing the armband for Peter O'Mahony, of course, tonight. The South African. Penalty goes against Billy Holland, and Munster thumped the ball into touch. Leinster rather down this near side. It's getting into that time of the game where the next score is absolutely crucial. 9-point advantage for the 15 against 14.
Here's your mark. Yeah. Lads, discipline within that, yes.
A couple of further changes as Leo Cullen decides to empty the bench. Conor O'Brien and Michael Bent are in.
Advantage offside.
So penalty coming here for Leinster. Can they take full advantage? What a finale it would set up if they can get in for 5 or 7 here. McGrath. Again, it was a little bit slow coming back, and
not held.
On they go with Dooley. That's quicker ball now. Opportunity potentially on the wraparound. Frawley got his hands free, but Andrew Conway just had an arm on his foot now. Bota with a challenge this time on Lorimer. McGrath waits, and they're queuing up.
Stay here,
Brian
still advantage.
And the pace about that from James Ryan, and the angle of running too. And oh, that's loose from Vardy. Still the advantage, though. You heard from Frank Murphy. Back we go for yet another penalty.
Something tells me this match isn't over just yet. Is there going to be another twist in this story tonight?
Offside.
No doubt.
Front of the high.
Leinster are going to kick to the corner here and back them all once more.
Okay.
Still only 20, Kieran Frawley.
Yeah.
He came on last week in a backline reshuffle at full back and acquitted himself particularly well.
Clear back foot. Okay. Time off. Substitutions.
Well, the last time they were Leinster in this spot, Tyke Byrne got a massive lift and a brilliant steal. It's such a fascinating part of the game, the chess that's played in real time, where nothing everything is organic, everything's changing, and you have to second guess the opposition. How defensive lineouts get it right so often.
Okay, lads,
I think Paul O'Connell was probably the best at it.
Well, has the right boot of Joey Carberry won this match for Munster as he goes off and is replaced by Tyler Blendall? We shall see. Leinster will have a big say. in whether or not that is the case. Brian Byrne's delivery is a good one.
It's a brilliant take from Max Deegan there.
That's 1-9.
McGrath waits, and now they go. A little bit of a juggle in there. I think it was Conor O'Brien who got his hands on it, only just newly introduced Josh van der Fleer. Lockman with a challenge. Former Leinster man, he too only introduced in the last number of seconds. 70 minutes plus on the watch. 19 points to 10 the game in the balance here, you feel.
Good.
Bardi. They're looking to pick and jam around the corner. And they did this for 30 plus phases last week against Connacht, you remember.
Hindmost now, back, good.
Conan. McGrath. That's another strong carry from Ryan. He's been everywhere tonight once again, as he always is.
No.
Dooley over it, McGrath waits, here's Frawley. No. I thought they might put a little bit of a width on it. Instead he went for Reid, it's there for Luke McGrath. Munster wait. Their defensive set poised.
Stay here.
Dooley's over it. McGrath barking out the orders. He wants his forwards in a little bit closer, and they get the latch on this occasion. And now they go a little bit wider. Interception from inside the Munster 22. And away goes Keith Earls. And this surely, at this stage in the game, with 8 minutes left, is the winning of the match for Munster. It's a 51st try for Keith Earls. And just listen to the noise around Thomond Park in Limerick. They rise to their feet to salute the try from Keith Earls. It was Leinster on the attack, but it's Munster who strike, and it's Keith Earls with a try.
But it's the way Munster reshuffled around the open side. They actually had more defenders than Leinster had attackers. They read what was coming. They didn't get bogged down and over-resourced the breakdown. They shipped it outright. Haley was outside him. Earls read it, but the Munster backline read it and stayed alive to the possibility of an interception. It arrived, and who would you like better to cover 85 metres or so than Keith Earls?
I think the man walking his dog outside could see that coming. For me up here, I could just see Keith Earls biding his time. Young Frawley just goes with the play, doesn't recognise that Keith Earls is there, and he runs the length of the pitch. Absolutely brilliant try.
And it's Munster who lead Leinster by 26 points to 10.
Converted by Tyler Blandall, Munster 26, Leinster 10.
And surely that is an unassailable lead, and surely it means that their unbreached Thomond Park record in 2018 will continue into 2019.
Is one right again, Ken? I'll just put time on.
Okay.
Hugh Sullivan is coming in.
It also recalibrates the potential 5 in a row. Now it's at 4 in a row, and it starts from scratch again when these great sides meet.
December 2016 was the last time that Munster beat Leinster. And it looks very much as though it's going to happen again.
Stay on side for me. Half back on side. Take a step.
Up it goes from Mathewson. Larmour came from a long way, and he went through Rory O'Loughlin to get there, but took it really well. Pass goes to deck from O'Sullivan.
As we are.
And he goes to Dooley. 6 minutes to go. Stand up and fight rings out around Thomond Park. All the fighting was done in the first 40 minutes. We've seen plenty of rugby in the second. Ultimately, it looks as though the team in red are going to come out in the ascendancy. Leinster, the comeback kings last week against Connacht. They overturned a 17-point deficit in 11 minutes. This one, will surely be on them. O'Sullivan. Larmour's been well watched all evening. He's had precious little space in which to operate.
Stay.
You think back to that scintillating try he scored on 70 minutes on St Stephen's Day here last year, and what a year he had that followed. It looks as though he's to finish on the losing side tonight. As I'm talking about him, he knocks it on, and it's a Munster advantage. Jeremy Lockman takes it on.
No advantage.
I think just to touch on Kieran Frawley, I know
Just a knock on.
there's probably a good reason why Leo Cohn threw him straight into the fire of this match with 20 minutes to go, but to see what he's made of. You know, they've got Ross Byrne there who's playing exceptionally well. But is this guy the number 2, the number 3? Well, I think just the way through that final pass, there's another small bit of learning still to come from this young man, but it's certainly not the last we're going to see of him because he's got bags of talent.
Time on.
Yes, it is the steepest of steep learning curves to be thrown into this kind of atmosphere, this cauldron at that stage in the game.
Square, lads, I want you square.
And your team on the front foot, on the offensive, and looking to get a score to get yourselves back into the game. And as it turns out, it's potentially the turnaround of 14 points.
Set! Steady!
Inside the final 5 minutes then.
Going forward.
Leinster free kick, and time is of the essence here.
Advantage, not 10.
Conan's had a good game tonight. And Frawley out to Reid. And he wriggles clear of a tackle or two.
Where are we, Sean? Free kick here, is it? Not 10. Free kick, yes.
Now here come Leinster. Can they manufacture something, salvage something, get themselves back in to potential of losing bonus point territory? It doesn't seem that they can. It's not been their night.
Good call. Yeah, I would take it out of there. Too much lean through from me. Give me the space.
And there have been an uncharacteristically high number of individual errors and
let's be clean here.
inaccuracies
Escalate to penalty, right?
from both sides at times.
Hold the weight for me. Crouch! Bind! Set!
Much as though it's going to be only the second time in 11 games that Leinster have lost a match against their Irish provincial rivals. Lost to Connacht, remember, down in Galway. Now, Sweetnam. Can he get it inside to Healy? Or can he get away from the challenge? And that was almost an intercept for Hugh O'Sullivan. Mathewson, full of energy and tenacious. O'Sullivan made the challenge. Ball went back on the Munster side.
Stay there, stay there.
And it's Keith Earls who looks to have
Advantage
scored
over.
what is the try that seals the win for Munster. Blendall now in the pocket. Crossfield kick looking for Conway. And this time it's Scott Fardy who's taken in the air.
Just timing.
That's
Just
a
timing.
wonderful bit of skill from the Leinster second row. You wouldn't see that in Croke Park. Fantastic positioning for a start to recognise he needed to be there as a second row to find himself in green grass like that, but then to sail into the air and catch the ball. Wonderful skills.
I think there's some of the Leinster players who feel unlucky tonight of being on the losing team because there's been a lot of effort, a lot of endeavour, a lot of skill shown as well. But they've just come up against a rampant Munster team this evening.
Red, step off now. I won't ask you again. Stay where you are.
So Burns' delivery to Fardy didn't quite collect it. Taken on by Van der Fleer.
Stay. Offside
O'Sullivan
advantage.
away to Deegan.
17 offside. Penalty advantage.
Inside the final minute. Leinster managed to get it free, and then they look for the audacious offload to O'Sullivan at pace. Penalty against Jeremy Lockman, I think it
never
is.
behind the hindmost.
Okay, well, it's a collective effort tonight between Liam Toland and Stephen Ferris, but Liam, let's have your Guinness man of the match then, please.
Okay, in a match that was buried in the trenches throughout, there was precious little creativity amongst all the cards, yellow and red. Few players stood out, But the number 5 jersey for Munster, Tadhg contributed both in the air at line-out time and on the deck with some very, very important steals. He is our Guinness man of the match.
He scored a try in the reverse fixture back in October.
Backwards.
There's a little microcosm of Leinster's night tonight. Hasn't quite worked for them, but it would be a reflection of his performance, Jack Conan, if he were to cross the whitewash for a late try. Scant consolation as it would be, but they're very close to that Munster line and Van der Fleet.
Now, everybody back in the line.
The square side is there for O'Sullivan if he can manage to dot it down. Was he stopped just a matter of inches shy of the line? 26 points to 10.
Good.
It's 2 tries to 1, but it's Leinster looking to level up that statistic, if nothing else.
On the line, stay.
Perseverance from Leinster and some resolute defence from Munster, but in the end, Leinster get over the line.
That's the time.
And it's Max Deegan who's got the try. 26 points to 15. A look of resignation on the face of Kieran Frawley, because he knows Deegan was there to finish it off. It'll count for relatively little in the grand scheme of things. And the final kick of the game will be that of Kieran Frawley. Well, he struck that pretty well. And over it goes, and Frank Murphy, who's been a central figure tonight, blows the whistle at the end of 80 minutes of an absolutely frantic Munster-Leinster interprovincial derby here at Thomond Park in Limerick. But it goes the way of Munster, their unbeaten record. Home record over the last 12 months. They close out a calendar year unbreached at Thomond Park. 16 matches at home unbeaten, and the final scoreline in this Guinness Pro 14 encounter in Limerick finishes Munster 26, Leinster 17. And what a game we had. It was ill-tempered, ill-disciplined, it was tetchy, it was feisty, it was all of those things in the opening 40 minutes. There was precious little rugby played in the opening half. We had 2 yellow cards, a red card, we had 4 tries, but the plaudits and the bragging rights for now at least go to Munster. Their first win in 2 years over their provincial rivals. Cian Healy's 200th appearance in Leinster Blue. He's had many a happier day in Leinster Blue, has Healy, but full credit to Munster for their attitude and application and the way they managed to close out that game with the man advantage for the second half following the red card to James Lowe, and ultimately it was the breakaway try, the Keith Earls try, flight of the Earls from inside his own 22 as he ran fully 80 metres to score under the posts, which gave Munster that unassailable lead. CJ Stander was excellent tonight, carried so much ball. Johnny Sexton, who was withdrawn on 60 minutes, but as Liam said, Tadhg was a colossus in that Munster pack. He often is on the big occasion, so let's hear now from our Guinness man of the match.
Tadhg, an absolute grudge match out there, very physical battle. How are you feeling after that great win?
Yeah, look, it was a difficult game and feeling it now, but it's a derby, isn't it? And so physical out there, and you've seen a few scuffles and that, but that's just the passion that both teams have, and it was a great game by both teams, but luckily we came out to win.
Another fantastic win here in front of a packed out Thomond Park Stadium. How good is it to have that support behind you?
Yeah, look, the noise is incredible here. Even getting on the bus at the hotel and then coming here and coming out to this, it's deafening, and without those boys getting behind us, this crowd, we probably would have struggled.
On a personal note, how good was it to get the Man of the Match award, and how proud are you the boys out there with you?
Yeah, look, it's always nice to get Man of the Match, but I'm just here to perform for the boys and give them my best, and if I can win man of the match, that's great, but it's all about the team and getting the win.
Congratulations, well done.
Cheers,
Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Thank you.